Do you know the sound a man makes when he loses everything? It is not a scream. It is not a cry. It is the silence. The absolute suffocating silence when he realizes the woman he called a failure now owns the banknote to his entire life. My name is Sophia Vance. I am 29 years old, and 48 hours ago, I bought my ex-husband's debt for 10 cents on the dollar. He does not know it yet, but he is about to walk into this boardroom and find out that the CEO he has been trying to impress for 6 months is the wife he left homeless in a parking lot. Let's rewind. 3 years ago. I was not wearing Chanel suits. I was wearing oversized hoodies, sitting in a one-bedroom apartment in San Francisco, drafting blueprints until 4 in the morning. Richard was the face. I was the brain. That was our deal. Richard had the smile. And he had the handshake. He had the ability to walk into a room of venture capitalists and sell ice to an Eskimo. But he had zero technical skills. He could not code. He could not design. He could not tell the difference between a load-bearing wall and a decorative pillar. I was an architect with a specialty in sustainable, AI-driven housing. I spent 2 years designing the Hive. It was revolutionary, a modular housing system that could solve the urban density crisis. It was my life's work, my soul on paper. Richard took my designs to the investors. I stayed home. He told me, "Sophia, you are too soft. You are too emotional. These sharks will eat you alive. Let me handle the business. You just keep drawing." I trusted him. I loved him. I thought we were a team. 2 years, I built the prototype with my own hands in our garage. As I wrote the patent applications, I structured the entire supply chain. Then the day came. November 2022. Richard came home with a bottle of champagne. He popped the cork, foam spilled onto the floor. "We did it," he said. "Nexus Ventures just invested $5 million. I was ecstatic. I started crying. I hugged him. "We did it, Richard. We can finally launch the Hive." He pushed me away gently. "Not we, Sophia. Me." He pulled a document out of his briefcase. It was not a partnership agreement. It was divorce papers. The next 48 hours were a blur of legal jargon and betrayal. Richard had been planning this for months. He had transferred the intellectual property rights of the Hive to a holding company in the Cayman Islands, a company solely in his name. Our prenuptial agreement was airtight. I got nothing. No equity, no alimony, no rights to my own invention. He looked me in the eye in our living room and said words I will never forget. "Sophia, let's be real. You are a great draftsman, but you are not a founder. You are distinctively average. I am doing you a favor. Go find a nice quiet job. Leave the innovation to the visionaries." He kicked me out of the house I designed. He froze our joint accounts. 2 weeks later, I was living in my Toyota Camry. I parked behind a 24-hour gym so I could use their showers. I watched on my cracked phone screen as Richard was featured on the cover of TechCrunch. The headline read, "Richard Sterling, the visionary behind the Hive." He was being hailed as the next Elon Musk, and I was eating a protein bar for dinner and trying to figure out how to stretch $20 for another week. I applied for jobs, but Richard had blacklisted me. He told every firm in the valley that I was unstable, that I had stolen data, that I was crazy, I was untouchable. I hit rock bottom on a Tuesday. It was raining. My car battery died. I sat there, cold, hungry, staring at the rain hitting the windshield. I thought about ending it. Truly, I thought, he won. He took my mind, my work, my dignity. There is nothing left. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost did not pick up. "Is this Sophia Vance?" a deep voice asked. "Yes," I whispered. "This is Arthur Henderson. I am the executor of your late Uncle Theodore's estate. I need you to come to my office, immediately." I did not even know Uncle Theodore well. He was the black sheep of the family, a recluse. I used my last $10 to take an Uber to the law firm. I walked in looking like a drowned rat. Mr. Henderson did not blink. He sat me down. "Sophia," he said, "your Uncle Theodore followed your career closely. He knew about Richard. He knew about the theft." "Okay," I said, tired. "Did he leave me anything? A few $1,000s would really help right now." Mr. Henderson slid a thick file across the mahogany desk. "Not exactly money, Sophia. He left you a controlling interest?" I opened the file. My heart stopped. Hartfield Dynamics, one of the largest, oldest construction conglomerates in North America. "Your uncle owned 51% of the stock," Henderson explained. "He was a silent partner. He hated the limelight, and now you are the majority shareholder." "I don't understand," I stammered. "Why me?" "Because," Henderson smiled, "Theodore hated bullies, and he knew you were the only one smart enough to fix the company's tech division. But there is a condition." "What condition?" You must serve as the interim CEO for 1 year, but you must remain anonymous to the public for the first 6 months. You will rule from the shadows. We will use a proxy for press releases. No one can know Sophia Vance is pulling the strings. I looked at the valuation of Hartfield Dynamics, $12 billion. I looked down at my worn-out sneakers. Then I looked at Henderson. Does Hartfield Dynamics do business with startups? I asked. Henderson nodded. We acquire them, constantly. A cold feeling spread through my chest. It wasn't anger, it was fuel. Mr. Henderson, I said, I accept. The next day, the Toyota Camry was gone. I moved into the penthouse suite of the Four Seasons while my new residence was being prepared. But I did not go on a shopping spree. I went to work. I cut my hair, a sharp, asymmetrical bob. I traded my hoodies for tailored Italian suits. I spent 18 hours a day studying Hartfield's portfolio. And there it was, on the list of potential acquisitions. Sterling Tech, Richard's company. Richard was burning through cash. Developing the Hive without its actual creator was harder than he thought. He had the concept, but he did not understand the engineering. The prototypes were failing. The investors were getting nervous. He needed a manufacturing partner. He needed a bailout. He needed Hartfield Dynamics. I called my chief operating officer, a man named Jacob. Jacob, I said, set up a meeting with Richard Sterling. Tell him Hartfield is interested in a partnership. Yes, ma'am. Should I tell him who the CEO is? No, tell him the CEO is eccentric, preferring privacy. Tell him he will be meeting with the board. 2 weeks later, Richard walked into my building. I watched him from the hidden camera in the conference room. He looked older, stressed, but the arrogance was still there. He sat down with Jacob and my team. I was in the adjacent room, listening through an earpiece, feeding lines to Jacob. Mr. Sterling, Jacob said, looking at the papers, your burn rate is alarming. You have spent $5 million in 6 months with no viable product. Innovation is expensive. Richard smirked. But the payoff will be huge. The Hive is the future. The designs look complex, Jacob said, repeating my words. Can you explain the load distribution on the modular units? Richard froze. He didn't know, because he didn't design it. It is proprietary algorithms, Richard bluffed. Trust me, it works. I pressed the button on my microphone. Jacob, offer him the deal, but include clause 17B. Jacob nodded. We will fund you, Richard. $20 million to scale production. Richard's eyes lit up. Greed, pure greed. But, Jacob continued, since you have no product yet, we need collateral. We need a personal guarantee. If you default, or if the tech fails, Hartfield Dynamics absorbs everything. Your IP, your company, and your personal assets. Richard hesitated, but he was desperate. He needed the win. He needed to prove he was the genius. Fine, Richard signed the paper. I never fail. He signed his death warrant with a Mont Blanc pen. For the next 5 months, I made his life hell, but not directly. As the anonymous CEO, I requested changes. The design isn't efficient enough. Redo it. The materials are too costly. Change them. Richard was running in circles. Without me to fix the engineering problems, the Hive was collapsing. The walls were literally cracking during stress tests. He was bleeding money. He missed the first deadline, then the second. The investors started to pull out. The $20 million from Hartfield was gone. Richard was in breach of contract. He was panicked. I saw the reports. He had taken out secondary loans, shark loans. He leveraged his penthouse, his Tesla, his watch collection. He was betting everything on one final demonstration. At the Global Tech Summit, he planned to unveil a fake prototype to secure more funding to pay back Hartfield. Fraud. It was time. I called Henderson. Execute the clause. Call in the debt. All of it, Sophia? Every single penny. The day of the summit, Richard was on stage. He looked charismatic. The lights were bright. Ladies and gentlemen, he announced, the future of living is here. He pulled the sheet off the model home. It looked impressive, but I knew it was hollow. I walked into the auditorium. I was wearing a blood-red suit, sharp heels. I walked right down the center aisle. Jacob and Mr. Henderson flanked me. Security tried to stop us. Excuse me, ma'am, you can't be here. Mr. Henderson held up a court order. Actually, she owns the building and the stage and the company presenting. Richard stopped talking. He squinted against the spotlight. He saw me. His face went pale, not white, gray. Sophia? He whispered into the microphone. Everyone heard it. I walked up the stairs to the stage. I took the microphone from his hand. Hello, Richard, I said. My voice was steady, amplified to 2,000 people. What are you doing here? You're embarrassing me, he hissed. Security. They work for me now, I said calmly. I turned to the audience. My name is Sophia Vance. I am the CEO of Hartfield Dynamics. Gasp. The sound of 2,000 people holding their breath. Richard stumbled back. That is impossible. You are nobody. I am the nobody who designed this product. I pointed to the model. And I am the nobody who just bought your debt. I signaled to the screen behind us. The presentation changed. And it wasn't his slides anymore. It was financial documents. Richard Sterling is currently in default of $25 million, I narrated. He has committed fraud by presenting a non-functional prototype. And as per the contract he signed with my company, I am now exercising my right to seize assets. You can't do this, Richard screamed. He lunged at me. 2 large security guards intercepted him effortlessly. I am taking the company, Richard, I said, looking him dead in the eye. I am taking the IP. I am taking the house you bought with the money you stole from me. But why? He was crying now, snot running down his nose. The alpha male facade was gone. We were partners. I leaned in close. The microphone caught every syllable. No, Richard, you said it yourself. You are the visionary. I am just the draftsman. I turned to the guards. Get him out of my sight. They dragged him off stage. He was kicking and screaming like a child. Sophia, please. I'm sorry. We can fix this. His voice faded as the doors closed. I stood alone on the stage. The silence returned. But this time, it wasn't the silence of despair. It was the silence of respect. I looked at the audience. Now, I said, smoothing my jacket, let me show you how the hive actually works. I clicked the clicker, and I began the presentation he never could. That was 6 months ago. Sterling Tech no longer exists. It has been absorbed into Hartfield. The hive launches next month, with my name on the patent. Richard declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Last I heard, he was living in a shared apartment in Oakland, working as a sales rep for a solar panel scam. I did not sue him for the past. I just bought his future. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. I disagree. Revenge is a business transaction, and business is good.